there's, I think you're going back up here. No, I got it. No, I wanted to tell you that we were still talking about what kind of what I brought up.
All right, we'll get started. It's Monday, March 17th. This is the Facilities Committee meeting. I'm your chair, JP Prego. I have to my right Keith McCarron, committee member, and Drew Bishop, our business administrator. To my left, I have Liz Fluke, committee member, Mr. Michael Werbach, our director of facilities operations, and our esteemed superintendent in green, Dr. Alan Lynch. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Italian, not Irish, all right? So I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes from February 24th.
Motion?
Second.
Any comments?
Yeah, there's that same typo on the 24, 25.
You did the same
Yeah.
thing?
We
Is that what year it
want to
was?
be back in, we don't want to move forward. I apologize for that. The same, I did the same thing last
Approve the
meeting.
same minutes again?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All good. All right, so going to old business, the Valley Soccer light installation request.
Yeah, I was asked to talk to Bobby about that and get kind of what we would be using it for as a district. And correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, I can see over there, but if we would be not using it at all. There would be no district use for those lights.
Right.
So that's kind of really the update right now.
Plus, I think kind of to that, and based on the discussions we had the last meeting, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels, but I don't know if this is something that we plan to move forward with.
Yeah. Understood.
Are there any other thoughts?
Do you have any thoughts? Is your fellow or comments?
The only thing that I can think of that it would be beneficial for the school is the middle school could plug in a scoreboard so that the middle school games have a scoreboard when they played soccer. That's the only thing that was missing from my soccer experience this past middle school season. But that was the only thing I could come up with as a benefit for the school. But if this also depends on what those facilities plans are. Like if they have a different plan for the field, then we don't want to put something there. If they want to move something else there,
So, I think we hate to say no to things, but just,
So there is like no other use for us?
No, for those lights, no.
That you can visualize?
Not for the district, no.
no lights, just an outlet.
Just-
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I don't think it's a great idea. It's a great idea, but it's not a great idea for us. Clarify that.
thanks. Asbestos abatement.
So I don't have much of an update on that. The pre-bid meeting is scheduled for Wednesday. So any company that picked up plans and specs from the engineer will need to be there to go over the project, to walk the school. Obviously, that's going to be after hours so that they can see the various locations.
Do you
So
know
we're
how
on-
many picked up a bid?
I know 2 have.
Okay.
On Wednesday, I'll know if any more.
Okay.
So we have at
So
least
these
2
two.
bidders, and Barry, as that said, that they had multiple others reach out about it. So I think we're going to get a decent amount of bidders, but at least 2 currently.
Okay. That's good.
And tomorrow, we will be walking through some administrators to finalize the cabinetry and the furniture. That'll take some time to get that estimate, so my hope would be that at the next facilities committee, I'll have that CoStar's estimate for you guys.
Something I was thinking about, this is one of those projects where you're not going to see a lot of improvement from because everything's kind of hidden. However, some of the science classrooms are getting new furniture, new tabletops, new cabinetry. We probably should do like picture before and after.
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
thing, just to
absolutely.
Show some of the good stuff coming out of it,
Well, and there's a lot of tile work, so the old tiles, you'll get new tiles, they'll be brighter. There's some ceilings that are gonna have to come down for the pipe work, you're gonna get new ceilings, so it'll brighten up, but that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just to
Yeah, especially the
show
science
some of
rooms.
it. Yeah. Okay. So you'll still be done mid-August, right?
That's the plan.
Sounds good.
That's the plan.
All right. So moving on to the 4th and 5th center admin roof. Issue in Mr. Vigilante office.
Yes, so that's still on here because it's not done. Everything's in motion. Everything's been approved between the two companies to put the vent in and then to re-roof it. Not re-roof it, re-flash the roofing in once the vent's installed. So that is, like I said, in motion. We'll just have to keep up with coordination.
Do you have like an estimate when you think that'll get started?
The vent was 6 weeks out, and that was last week, so 5 weeks, so 5 or 6 weeks probably before that starts.
Okay. All right. Talk about the pool sewer pump.
That is done, that is installed and working.
We do any kind of like evaluation of the other one?
We did not. Usually those kind of things when you kind of let that one be. But no, there was no indication there was an issue with the other one at this time.
Okay, that's fair enough. Glad to hear that's done though. And the coil for the high school locker room.
That is still on order. That's about 3 to 4 weeks away still. I'm sorry, 2 to 3 weeks away. And then our people will be putting that in. So we can fit it into our maintenance schedule. That's a heating coil, so
Yeah.
it's not,
You'll have it fixed in time for
yeah,
summer. Yeah.
absolutely.
Perfect.
Right when you need.
Yep. All right, and the pavilion at Marlboro. Go ahead.
And that, I don't really have much of an update on either. I know you guys approved it last Thursday, so thank you very much. And I did not get a chance today, but I plan tomorrow to reach out to that group to get that coordination started. I looked over their plans, they look good, so then it's a matter of, permitting and stuff like that. So I'll help coordinate that with them.
Okay, so they sent you the architect plans then?
They sent me a single drawing.
Okay.
They handed it to me actually at the last meeting.
Okay.
And yeah, everything looks good. It's pretty straightforward and standard. I don't see there being any issues, but, obviously it has to go over township review.
Sure. Okay. Any questions from the committee on any of that stuff? Good. All right, we'll move on to discussions and presentations. Security, our standing discussion item there. Anything to report on?
Nothing to report.
Okay.
Still down a guard, one full-time and one, and the 12 to 6 guard at the high school, and that all the other buildings are fully staffed.
Were we down that one full-time before, or were we just down the part-time?
Yeah, we were not down, the last time we gave you a report, we were just down to 12 to 6.
Okay.
We're down a full-time and a 12 to 6 right now, at the current time.
So then the full-time's at the high school, you said?
Correct, yeah, they're both at the high school.
Okay. All right, feasibility study?
I have no update on that.
Nothing right now, yeah.
Pull up the direct athletic facility.
Yep. So we'll move on to new business, which is the draft of the 5-year athletic plan.
Any of the board members fall over when they saw it? That's finished. It's got one. Give me the numbers to put in. So this was a part of a collaboration here as we get, and it's not final and it's not perfect in terms of anything, but it was an initial look to take a look at getting things on paper for us to take a look at and share with the board. So we've kind of projected it out over 5 years, slide that over, and then all the way at the end, you're getting more into some wish stuff or some feasibility type study things. And all of this is kind of just a first blush looking at some of the things. So in year one, it looks at the 2 turf fields and the track. So that's the bulk of 1,300, what's our 1.3 million there. And then some other parts that are part of that. And Mr. Perswick, feel free to chime in here with the goalposts. Then you're getting into the ball stop, which is on the ends, I'm assuming. Football play clock, which will be a part of that turf project. And then looking at baseball and softball bullpens. And then we just put this here as they said, if you do the two turfs together, you could save 20. So we worked that in there as if this was a plan together. That, not the turf and the track, that was just the 2 turfs for that discount for that. So year one, if that was all in on that, would be about 1.4 million for that. So again, this is the beauty of the chart here, is you can move things down the line to see where you want that. Year two, based upon the options that are here, we've been hearing about the high school floor. There is a company that Mr. Perswick has been working with that says there is another life on that floor. So we don't need it. That's what option 2, which is 189. That would be the full floor, but what's in the numbers is a redo, a restructuring, or resurfacing of the floor. And then a little below, two below that would be the volleyball standards, if those would be installed, I'm assuming at the same time as the floor. And then there's that gym divider, which is condition it's in, besides not good.
Yeah, it usually breaks at least once or twice a year. It's just an old heavy door that we're looking to replace with the heavier curtain kind of, which is like the newer age, which is a lot more financially responsible and cheaper.
Why would that be athletics? As opposed to high school, it's phys ed.
Yeah, I think we're just in the gym at this point, so we could wipe that out in terms of that. It would be foolish for us not to at least understand that is a part of that if that wanted to be used. What's that?
I don't think it belongs in athletics.
Okay. Then the gym floor, the gym bleachers is also there. We don't have a number yet. I don't know if we're still waiting on.
Yeah, we're still waiting. We had one group come out and did some measuring and looking at the current bleachers, and another one is scheduled to come out potentially this week to give us a quote on replacing the bleachers again. I think original bleachers, or at least from many, many years ago, usually once a winter the motors break, and we hope that they break when they're out and not in, so that's something that we constantly had to deal with.
For the gym floor, how much time does that buy us?
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the option one.
Yeah, in 10, I mean, you'd hope to get more, but we'd have to plan for 10 years to do the full replacement. Because they made it very clear there's only one life cycle left.
Yeah, and for the couple of years that I've been looking at and meeting with people, everything I've been told is that we were due for a complete blow up and redone. And we found 2 companies now. One is a Posada corporate sponsor, so that's a very good person that does a lot of stuff. He said if it was so bad that when you were walking around, you'd see a lot of the nail heads kind of not coming up to the floor, you could see the dark of the nail head coming through, and he didn't see any single one of them, so he was fairly confident that they could get at least one of them, and he said 10 years, but I mean, look at the gym floor, what we have in there now, it's much longer than that.
Right.
But that would include like the new color, new colors, new graphics, all that type of stuff for that cost. Now there could be some times where some of the wood might need to be replaced, and they put kind of like a buffer in there, but they said a lot of even the ones, we have a bunch of that are re-slotted, so they got damaged, we cut it out, re-put it in. He said most of the time when they completely sand that down, you won't even recognize where that wood is anymore.
Bob, will take us through the Laris's one from the outdoor bleacher wrapping.
Yeah, one of the new kind of things right now is to kind of, dress up old things, is they do bleacher wrapping, where they can put signage up on the bleachers and kind of like wrap it per se. Mr. Rohrbach at his old district did something like that in the stadium that they did with new bleachers. So it's, I sent them pictures. We did not get an official quote from them yet of our stadium, but it's something that kind of snazz up and put some community branding and colors on the bleachers. Softball field, a booth and storage, looking something similar to what the baseball team has. That would be kind of a little storage area, potentially could be a little concession stand, and to house a sound system out on the softball field. Starting blocks, we're waiting for mainline pools to get back to us for someone to come out. That's very high, and basically because of our pool being as old as it is, they almost have to be a custom block. The ones we have in there now, I was told, was built by someone in the 60s, a local guy that built them. About 8 years ago, Arcadia was getting rid of their starting blocks that were gorgeous. I took that old box truck all the way up there and felt like I was gonna not make it back many a times. When we got back here, we could not use them because of the way our pool is built. We would have been too high off the water, which would have been outside the PIAA guidelines. So Norristown quickly came and grabbed them, and now they're in their pool.
So the
Can't
big-
just stack bricks?
So the big piece there is, so the natatorium upgrade and maintenance, and that's numbers taken off the feasibility study.
Yeah.
So if that's something to explore, we would want to bring somebody back out to really get an in-depth.
Yeah, because some of the stuff in the feasibility study had been done. So some electrical stuff, but then in the feasibility study, the report specifically for the pool, it calls out a lot of code issues. And my fear would be that if you do anything, you're going to have to do all of it. Do you know what I mean? That's usually when I see that written so many times.
Once you open that up, it's.
Mhm.
So we'd have to get them back out here if that's something we would want to look at and really maybe even have them update the report for us and answer those questions.
So that's a big number there with, I guess, put in chairs there for the high school gym. Moving on to year 3, it looks like it's LED retrofits. If there was work to be done in the press box, baseball fencing, baseball backstop, foul poles, tennis windscreen, and then a gator for athletics. And then moving in soccer goals, and now we're in year 4, I believe. Soccer goals, field hockey, Keeney Stadium fencing, tribe fencing maintenance, something depending upon ticket entrance there at the high school, scoreboard, and then some retrofit conversations with LEDs for baseball and softball. And then even further out, looking at replacing lockers, resurfacing tennis court. I put on Marlboro and 4 or 5 gym floors. Maybe they're not considered athletics. Maybe that's more, those were more school-related pieces because the athletics use them, I guess, in the off-season, but not really as the mainstay. And then again, some wish items that are out there in terms of the feasibility study and some other areas about expanding. So that's the initial look at brainstorming and trying to put some numbers to that so you can see across the board what things are. Again, everything is to be removed if it's not of interest and or part of athletics or put on a school side of things or things move around there. If it's, at least get a ballpark of what we're talking about. It looks like at least the first 3 or 4 years, you're looking at 3 or 4 million total to get yourself to wherever,
2 questions. What's the total for 2930? The estimate? Just can't see that column.
165,000.
No.
165 right now, what's the thing's missing, so there's the blue areas are missing, the lockers and the
Yeah,
tennis.
I met with a rep last week about the lockers, and we counted lockers and measured lockers and everything, and they had to send it off for drawings and kind of looked in the varsity side. We were looking at almost like a varsity locker that's a little larger, has like a foot locker up top and bottom that locks. And we were kind of drawing things up, so they didn't get that quote back to us yet, but we were in there measuring and counting and doing all that stuff.
And the spreadsheet that we're sharing that's here, Mr. Kerswick has got the quotes and things already kind of in a separate worksheet to be able to pull them up to get a little more detail or see how, how up to date they are at this point. Just kind of as a Google Drive that holds holding them, but then having them all linked here for us to pull together when we're talking about.
So have we been playing with any of these numbers in our finance meetings or budgetary meetings?
No.
I think Bruce said the first 3 years are covered.
Couldn't those bullpens be done with in-kind gifts? Like, we've got community people who would knock those out.
Well, the bullpens are, that's just the material.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's not labor in there.
great. We could, I'm sure we could find people in the community that would donate that. I mean, it's worth looking. I mean, where the heck are we gonna find the money to do this?
Well, for
Especially
the
now.
bullpens, if that was just for materials, were you planning on doing that in-house? Or,
What was
We
that?
have people that are willing to do it if we purchase the materials.
Yeah.
they are community members, clubs, organizations?
Coaches, parents, that type of stuff.
It's
Does
valid
that,
when doing
sorry, does that
something.
include like coding? Would you need like any kind of permit or anything for that?
For that,
Because it's
no.
not done by professionals?
Yeah, for that, no, that'd be fine. Yeah.
The only thing I caution about, which projects were we talking
The
about?
bullpens, 13, 14?
The two cheapest ones on there.
Oh, okay, all right. Because once the project is $25,000 or more, then you have to do, why am I drawing a blank?
Coastal?
No, but you have to pay the labor rates,
Yeah.
prevailing
Prevailing
wage.
wage.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they're ugly numbers, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's not that wasn't, the task was to get it on paper and
Yeah.
and at least begin, have a process to look at it and make it a 10-year if you want to, depending upon what's there, or, you know, if there's other things that can be done in-house or can be donated, and, or maybe that's not, you know, the bleacher wrapping, that's nice, but that's, okay, that's not gonna happen, that type of thing.
Right.
Versus the, you know, if it's turfs. So, this is just the first blush at it. I mean, it's just for us to begin to see it. It's not, we're not coming here asking for 4 million over the next 3 years, but, you know, that's, I think for a little while there, we were talking in circles about the turf and didn't really know what the numbers were. Now we have the numbers as best we can right now. And move them where we need to or not.
Now, for Peg's comment about, you know, like the floor not being part of the facilities should be more capital or whatever. You know, this is just
Just
a,
take it right off like this. It's all.
I know, but this isn't actually like being directed into the athletic budget, is it? Or is it just an
No.
overall, it's just an overall plan?
This is just a
Yeah.
plan to,
And then we
Pull
get
together.
charged to wherever it needs to be charged.
I don't even know if it's gonna be charged, right now it's, you
Well,
know,
in theory.
the committee, the
Right.
finance committee and this committee, they're looking at what we're gonna, if we're gonna do anything, at least we know what the numbers are, and a first blush at, if it makes sense to package things together, or does it make sense to parcel them out? You know, Drew, are you able to come up with a number, say we can afford 300,000 a year, so what can we do with that? I mean, you're looking at some of the numbers, what would that look like? At least we have them now to be able to move them around.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Drew.
I was looking at something, which I still didn't talk to you about, but just looking at the roof projects and all the things that, you know, we've talked prior, and I'm trying to project out the capital reserve balance going through all the projects that we have listed, just roof projects and those other items. And I-
Excluding everything on this.
Before any of this.
Before any of this comes in,
Yeah.
right, yep.
So, I mean, we'll have to talk probably at finance, but if we were to throw in, I just picked a number, $200,000 every year, so you're really budgeting for a transfer in the capital reserve, then you can get through the projects that we had listed from months ago in this meeting. Now, if you're throwing another 1.4 million on top of that, then we need to talk about more money being put in that capital reserve. So there's really two ways you can get money in capital reserve. It's you budget for it annually and you put the money in there.
Right.
Or if you have extra revenue come in and you end up with a surplus at the end of the year, you can transfer that money into capital reserve as well. Unfortunately, we don't know that, how we're gonna end this year just yet.
Correct.
Right.
So what do we have set aside for the turf? The one we always talk about.
Yes. 100 and,
60 maybe if.
I was thinking 140, maybe 160.
140, 160.
140,000, 160,000. Now, we do also, we have $5 million in committed fund balance. That's not the 9.8 that's sitting in capital reserve fund. It's sitting in our general fund. that the board has committed for capital projects. So those are really the two options that we have.
But we're paying roof repairs and things like that out of that, right?
So I'm trying to get all of that to come out of capital reserve, still not touching that 5 million in capital, in committed fund balance.
Okay. So is it the opinion of the administration here that this is also broken out by need? We think the turf is the highest need right now, or is it gym floor? What is it that
I don't know if
is?
that was, I think it was just, yeah, a little bit by need in terms of the turf obviously being the main piece, because we hear about that. I don't know if everything else is exactly prioritized in line. It was just really to get it all on paper and see what would be helping to balance that out. I mean, I'm sure there's something here that we're not missing, or we, you know, that are just nice to haves, but we just try to put it all on there to have the initial thought and conversation.
Okay, because if we're gonna be planning for something, we need to understand what the need is, right? Now, I'm looking at like new play clock or the wrap that's on there, those don't seem like needs. They seem more like wants to me right now. Unless I'm wrong.
Well, the play clock, I guess, is one of those things that, again, you guys know better than I would, that should be installed when the turf is installed, because there's no power going out to where the play clock will be. If not, would be another cord that goes across that.
We put that on there because we currently have no power in Keeney Stadium on the turf. So that becomes a problem even for graduation. We have to run extension cords from underneath the bleachers. So when you do the track in the turf, you would add that electrical spot. And the ones that we're looking at is they're on a steel beam that are up off the ground, and then a square play clock. So that's why that was included with that. Is it an absolute must we have? No, but it's definitely trending that way in the sport of football to have them.
Yeah, most new turfs have electric on the field. And to do that, you'd have to cut into the track. So obviously, once, you're not going
If you have it all ripped up now, then
That's the time.
I understand that's the time to do it.
So I think that's why those got grouped, together.
So does the play clock basically cover all the electric needs at that point? It's not just doing the electric, but the clock also. I mean, it's not like,
It's the clock and an outlet.
on the clock now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clocks, I believe, were about $8,000, and we put some extra in there for the steel beam and the electric access.
In two locations, one on either end.
Okay.
I will say the turf pricing is 2025 pricing. So if the district would want to go forward with that and we agree to do something like that up until December, they would guarantee those prices, the company that we spoke to, but come January 1st, that pricing could increase or go down. But in the world we live in, probably increase.
Are they on like a state contract?
Co-stars. And those numbers are pretty good. That's Keystone. We have a community member whose children have played athletics here, Mr. Cairns, who has been kind of overseeing this project. So I think while we probably want to look for comparable pricing, I think these numbers, because of Mr. Cairns being involved in that, has been pretty good.
Are you on finance, Keith?
No, I'm resigned. Yes, I'm on finance.
There you go.
Meeting next week.
All right. Okay. I think, at least from my standpoint, I want to see, I mean, this, like you said, this is a good start. This gives us the sticker shock of everything that's on here. I think I'd like to see more of a breakdown between the need and the want, though, right now. So we can further assess what we can do financially and what makes the most sense.
Sort of like what we did with roofing.
Yeah.
I assume you can't fundraise for any of these projects?
I'm sorry?
Can you not fundraise for these type of projects?
We
No?
can't, in the general
Okay.
fund, we cannot fundraise.
Okay.
What kind of fundraising can you do to get us a
Take
million?
donations.
Donations, there.
Yeah.
We take donations.
If the church can do a building fund,
Directed donations to the school district?
Or through the foundation.
Legacy?
Okay. Well, thank you for putting this together. I think it's definitely eye-opening.
Is there anything missing? Anyone's like that, we're missing something there?
We're missing the money.
Besides that?
That's what's currently there. Are there any, like,
Nothing I can think of.
The biggest ticket items there are the turf,
Yeah.
the pool, and the LED retrofit.
I will say we've had a good year in facility rentals, which traditionally goes back into that money that we improved this spring that I think is $20,000-$30,000 in rentals. Not that that's going to do much for, but we have had a very good year of rentals with youth sports, with outside organizations. And this spring is more than what we've done with the club soccer team.
I'm surprised with the LED retrofit, how much it is.
I'll throw something on the list. A small press box on the visitor side in Keeney Stadium. Keep visiting football over there.
Good idea. Yeah, we put the press box on there just because, and Peg can attest to this, that press box has been there before we had the two fields. So we kind of cut windows in the back side of it to be able to see out on the Tribe. And it's not ideal by any means. You can't see what you need. When we have playoffs or just big games and media come, they complain all the time because they can't cover games. So that's a nice idea, but be able to bring a press box in that they'll be able to look at, potentially have rooms where we may not even need to put a ton of people up top. Put their teams in a room, and what was a good idea for that.
So that was visitor side, Keeney?
Yeah. It just has to be a little one. Nothing elaborate, just enough for the visiting football coaches to go in so they're not in the
100%.
home side press box. Did that perfect.
This number down here is for the Strive protective netting as per the homeowner there requesting the same at the ends, all wrapped around there. So it's not in there.
Right.
Probably be a low or no priority, but again, we're trying to put everything on the floor here to make sure that we had it.
Bob, on Tribe, can the clock be run from the field?
It can, but we actually have an updated console to be able to kind of match what we have in Keene. So it can, as of right now, yes.
So here's where I'm going with it. Get one of those donkeys, put on Tribe, on where the teams are, the side the teams are on. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That big cart
Yep.
with seating up top?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can. The console we have now is a wireless that can be.
Yeah.
The only reason we consider going away from that is in our current FHS camera network, when it is wireless, that's why the bar does not come across the bottom when it streams games to show the score. It has to be hardwired in. Now, there's a chance that potentially we could hardwire it from over there, but that's why we had gone away from it. Because like in Keeney Stadium, when you see field hockey or football, the bar is there that says the school's names and the scores and the time. We can't produce that on Tri Stadium because it's a wireless unit.
Yeah. And I just thought of that just to keep the clock operator
Right there with the effect.
Yeah,
Yep.
because sometimes it gets a little wonky
Yeah.
when they're up there in the press box.
Thanks, man.
Sure.
All right, you can take these depressing numbers off the board here.
Can All Sports Booster Club buy anything for this?
I used
There's the
to.
Gators on there.
Yeah, they bought the last gator.
Yeah,
The last two.
Can All Sports fundraise for any of this?
They potentially could, they're not in a financial situation right now to be able to do that.
I know.
They may not have money to buy the awards this year, but I think once we get to a point where the new reorganized All Sports and things are running much more smoother and collected with all the individuals, I think there's a chance that down the road they'd be able to help out with things like that again.
Okay. Because I saw the Gator on there and I know they
Yeah, they
donated
purchased,
that.
yeah, I was shocked at how much, I think the ones that they got now are about $4,000 or $5,000, and now they're up to $9,000.
We take donations cash or
No gifts. All right, so we'll leave that on there as a standing item to revisit. And administration's good with what we're looking for the next iteration of that?
Yeah, we're trying to prioritize, I mean, we'll, if you want to prioritize it so it's, the first year is the most, I mean, some of those things go together, right? It wouldn't make sense to put something in year 3 would be a part of that package.
Yeah.
You know, I would rely on you guys to help prioritize those things and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, as ugly as the numbers are, without
It's the
saying we're
reality.
doing great, well,
Yeah.
that's what it is, right?
Okay.
And if there's things that aren't part of that, then that's okay too.
Well, we can develop a plan.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the RFQ for access control and door hardware.
So this is another one of those projects that was kind of done by a lot of other people. And there is a grant for this. This is for 10 new access controls where we swipe with our card. It's to help with security. And a lot of them are in the office areas to help, make those more secure areas and flow better. So this is all paid for. I'm just letting you know that I've been working with the salespeople because we have a Best lock system, so we have to stick with Best. So we're doing an RFQ to go out for quotes for that because we're locked into 3 or 4 companies that are going to be able to do it. So he was finalizing the material list this afternoon, so tomorrow I will be sending that RFQ out to those 4 companies to get quotes. So again, I should have an update for that at the next meeting.
Okay. And all covered by a grant.
Yep.
Beautiful. Right, Drew? Thank you. And then the sign at Hereford.
Oh, should we put this up?
Yeah, put that up there.
Sorry.
While we're waiting for that to warm up, so did we get insurance money for that sign?
we did. Yeah, we've already received it. It's $5,000 and I believe it was $5,009. So we've already received it. It's already been in our bank account for a couple weeks now.
And the other 3,000 and change is being paid by the
PTFS.
ETF.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess they had already been talking about trying to help us out in replacing that sign.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a discount now.
I think they initially started with wanting a digital sign until they realized all the sticker shock.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Could- could be
digital
worse
signs
than
are tough.
Yeah.
Just the electrical alone would be to run that.
So the person that killed it never came admitted to it, huh? Surprised.
No,
I think
the
he
person
stayed.
did.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe the person stayed there. and
I thought that was a hit and run.
No, the
I
person
believe
did.
I believe he stayed.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just,
Not
sounded like
100%.
he was very.
Unless it was someone from the Hereford PTFS.
Maybe that's why they got a $3,000 donation, anonymous donation.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it can go down, is there? Yeah. Maybe that's not for me, but I'll show you. It shows you.
So is this one going to be illuminated or no?
No,
Okay.
no, there's no,
Oh.
no. The old one
We
was,
didn't have any spotlights on it or anything?
I don't believe so, but I can,
I don't think so.
I don't believe so, but I can look into
I
that.
don't ever remember seeing anything
see the picture beforehand, I don't see any lights.
Yeah. I didn't see
I don't think there's any electric out there currently.
So,
Hey, it looks nice.
There's none to any of our signs. There's no electric to any of our signs.
high school.
Definitely not here.
High school, yeah.
Yeah.
Is-
Oh, yeah.
Marvin's got a spotlight on
I think Marble has a spotlight.
it. Right.
Yeah. But no, the other ones do not. So, yeah, as long as you guys are okay with that, I can, start coordinating with them for this.
I think it looks great.
Um,
That's
I
fine.
don't know, does that need to go to a board meeting, Dr. Roach?
Probably the acceptance of the donation,
That's-
yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Is that what the new one is supposed to look like?
Yes.
Is that the rendering?
Yep, right there.
so I'm trying to think, there's X amount from insurance money to pay for it. So would the purchase itself be?
I mean, eventually the purchase would be on the bills, so we wouldn't have to,
But the acceptance of the donation for the other.
but we do
three
approve
plus.
the acceptance of the donation, yeah.
And how quickly is that happening?
They still would have to order the sign, it would have to be, built. I did not get a lead time on
Do we have an
that.
invoice, do we have?
No, this is what was.
This is- okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It sounds like there's no objection to moving forward with spending the
No.
finance money or the insurance money and the rest of the donation. We would have to accept the donation
Yeah.
in a future meeting somewhere. But
Sounds
When
like-
did that happen?
I don't actually know the answer to that.
Don't go by there much.
It was a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of years ago?
Weeks.
Oh, weeks, I was gonna say.
Months, I think.
Yeah, it was before my
I'm
time.
thinking like Christmas time.
Yeah, I think winter.
Yeah,
Winter
it
makes
was
sense.
after one of the, I'm out Hereford based,
Got it.
it was around one of the major storms. We weren't sure if someone hit it or if it was just like a bunch of snow that got
Yeah.
pushed onto it. Looks too bad.
that's all right through
Maybe that's kind of fixed.
Well, it's our insurance, but there's separate.
it. All right.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
That would be right there.
Good. Any board comment?
Nope.
Good. I'll have it. I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next meeting, April 28th at 7:05. 2025.
All right, take care.